Correct. Who would have? This is what's happening in this place, Chris. Okay? There's no diversity of what you want, opinions or what you want to put across. And this is so frustrating. You spoke about the burka on the floor of Parliament, then you have the screening. No, we might offend people. Our whole country is going down the bloody drain. It really is. It frustrates me to no end. So these people make their decisions. No, you can't because we might offend this one or offend that one, whatever. So what do we have? Where do people like I go who just are common sense, normal people who want to have a laugh, want to have put out our opinions? Where do we go? What do we do? It's a constant battle I have all the time. I'm fighting this system as it changes and destroys our culture and our way of life. But I'm not going to give up. I'll keep fighting them. Guess what? They banned me from here showing the film in Parliament House, but I appreciate those people open up the venue to us and those people that did turn up. So we won in the long run. I don't walk away and give up that easily. Yes, I can't make speculation. I have no idea. And I think because there was a poster that was put out there and of course it had the rainbow flag and it was progressive, the word in it. So they would have taken offence to that. So they said, oh, well, we can't allow the showing of this. They had no idea what was in the movie. No idea whatsoever. But this might offend people. I'm sick and tired of worrying about whether people are offended or not. That's your problem, being offended. What about the rest of us? You're shutting down my opinion. Doesn't that matter anymore, or anyone else's? We had a great response from the audience, Chris. They actually applauded it. And I asked them, did you enjoy the 5 minutes of the movie? They said it's absolutely fantastic. And so anyway, we're going to put it out January 26th. It's going ahead. It's going to be a huge success. I can tell you that. You're exactly right in what you say. It's sort of all about the oppression of women that is happening. Here they scream about women's rights in this country. The left and the Greens and everyone else is screaming, oh, well, let's protect women's rights, against domestic violence. And then we have, right, same work, same pay. They keep going on about superannuation, the whole lot. But when it comes to women being able to show their face and no, we're not interested, let's back away. They don't want to get into the culture wars. That's what this is about. And Chris, I've been thinking about this. It wasn't a bloody stunt. It wasn't a stunt, all right? A stunt is to show off. It's not about showing off. It was about proving a point. My point was I wanted to introduce a bill to ban the burqa and full face coverings in public places. Now, when they denied me that, and I thought, well, if you don't want to ban it, I'll go and put it on. So I went and put it on to prove a point. And guess what? They didn't want to ban it. They didn't want me to wear it in Parliament. Where's the hypocrisy of the whole lot? You can't have it both ways to prove a point. And I proved my point. And they couldn't stand it. I am out there fighting for these women. If you want to know about Islam and how women are treated, go and read Ayaan Hirsi Ali's book. I read that years ago. I know what happens to a lot of these women. What's good for goose is good for the gander. So whoever's part of this party as a member will pay their fees, membership fees. So anyway, and that will include Barnaby Joyce.
And he will sign up this week.
And I've got to say, at this moment, Chris, I'm doing this interview with you and I've got my Member of Parliament, Sean Bell, doing his maiden speech on the floor of Parliament. I can see him on the screen in the distance. And I'm sorry I'm not in the chamber with him, but that was my choice to be suspended from what I did, wearing the burqa. And it's actually, they have not allowed me even to sit in the gallery to watch his main speech. So I'm doing this with you. I'm actually quite emotional over this, and I'm just watching him in the distance to give his main speech. He's like another son to me.
Mate, the moment this story landed, it felt like someone had slammed a steel-capped boot on the accelerator of the nation's drama machine. You've got Pauline Hanson, never one to whisper when she can roar, standing there like she's about to flick the Parliament House lights off herself and yell that the show's over. And honestly, with the way she's carrying on about the oppression of expression, you can almost picture the whole joint rattling like an old Commodore on the verge of blowing a gasket. So let me walk you through it, because this saga is wild, colourful, and so very Australian in that chaotic, political pub brawl way. Before we dive into this Hanson meltdown over free speech getting strangled in Canberra, hit that like button like you're booting censorship out the door. Subscribe if you're sick of watching politicians sprout nonsense, and grab the not far right, just right shirt, links in the description. It all kicks off with Pauline firing up on Sky News, practically vibrating with frustration, The kind of energy you only see in someone who's been told no one too many times. And when she says the country's going down the bloody drain, she doesn't deliver it like a slogan. She spits it out like someone who's been stewing on that line for months, probably scribbling it on a napkin in a cafe while muttering about bureaucrats in Canberra. There's a flavor to her outrage that's strangely familiar, like that aunt at Christmas who's had a couple of wines and is now ready to solve every national crisis in one emotional burst. Her big gripe? Free expression, or what she reckons is the slow, steady strangling of it. According to her, Parliament, of all places, should be the ultimate arena for opinions, debates, and a good old-fashioned shouting match when needed. But instead, she paints it as this grey, lifeless bubble where everyone is terrified of offending absolutely anyone and making decisions based not on principle, but on, oh no, what if someone gets upset? And hearing her tell it, you almost expect the place to have warning signs like a dodgy construction site. Caution: opinions may result in immediate cancellation. The spark for this whole tantrum, and I mean that affectionately, in the way any Aussie would describe someone having a passionate crack, was the cancellation of her film screening inside Parliament House. Apparently, she wanted to show a Stepmate Studios movie, and someone up the food chain decided that a rainbow flag on the poster was too spicy for the federal building. Too offensive. Too progressive? Or maybe not progressive enough? Honestly, it's hard to track what offends people these days because it changes faster than petrol prices. Pauline was having none of it. In her mind, it was just another attempt by faceless bureaucrats to silence her, shut her down, and tidy away anything that doesn't fit neatly into Canberra's acceptable discourse box. And look, whether you like her or can't stand her, she sells that frustration with absolute conviction. She talks like a tradie stomping back to the ute after being told by council that they need a different permit for the 5th time this week. And then comes her classic line, and I swear the way she says it almost shakes the air. I'm fighting the system. You can practically see her in a Rocky montage, jogging up Parliament steps in a red power suit instead of boxing gloves. But behind the theatrics, there's a real theme running through her rant. The feeling that expression in this country is becoming a game where you only get to speak if your opinion fits the algorithm. She's fed up with the endless, you can't say that culture. Fed up with decisions made because someone might clutch their pearls about a poster. Fed up with what she sees as a nation more worried about stepping on toes than standing on principles. And honestly, whether you agree or not, it's an argument that resonates with a lot of Aussies who are sick of self-censorship being treated like common courtesy. What makes it even more intense is when she starts talking about the burka incident. Remember that? When she walked into Parliament dressed in a full black burka to make a point about banning face coverings in public spaces. It caused absolute mayhem. Politicians gasped. Journalists scrambled. Twitter did what Twitter does, exploded into a cyclone of outrage and memes. People called it a stunt, a publicity grab, a cheap shot. But Pauline, even now, refuses to let that label stick. She argues that she did it because Parliament refused to even consider a bill on banning face coverings, so she decided to show them the problem instead. In her mind, it wasn't theatre, it was strategy. And whether you think that's true or not, you can't deny it was effective. It broke headlines across the country, got every journalist within 20 kilometers sprinting into the chamber, and forced a national conversation about cultural practices, security, women's rights, and political hypocrisy. What actually stings her most, and you can hear it in her voice, is the accusation that she was mocking Muslim women. That hit her deeply. She fires back hard, saying she was standing up for the women who are forced into wearing the burqa. Women who, she argues, can't raise their own voices, so someone else has to. In her mind, that someone is her. She sees it as advocacy. Her critics see it as provocation. That debate has been going on for years, and it'll keep going long after the script ends. But her emotional intensity shows that for her, it's personal. From there, the conversation jumps to the political tightrope she walks every day. She talks about hypocrisy, how politicians scream about women's rights 1 minute, but when it comes to the burqa, suddenly everyone's too scared to touch it. They don't want to be seen as stirring cultural conflict. They don't want to get dragged into what she calls culture wars. But she snaps back, saying the culture war isn't optional. It's happening whether people acknowledge it or not. And ignoring it doesn't make it go away. It just makes the problem simmer under the surface. Then, because no interview with Pauline is ever linear, she veers straight into this emotional moment about being suspended from Parliament. She's standing there doing the interview with Chris Kenny while her own party member, Charbel is delivering his maiden speech, a huge moment for any MP. A milestone, and she can't be in the chamber for it. She can't even sit in the gallery. The rules of her suspension keep her out entirely, and she admits it hits her hard. You can almost hear her voice wobble when she says she's watching him on a distant monitor instead. It's honestly a rare glimpse of vulnerability in someone who's usually armored like a tank, and it shows that behind the fiery interviews, the stunts, the controversies, she genuinely cares about her party, about her people, and about the symbolic moments she's now excluded from. Even the toughest firebrands crack open a bit under the weight of their own battles. But don't think the emotion slows her down for long. Within minutes, she's back into it, talking about the future, the fight, the next moves, including the curveball of Barnaby Joyce possibly joining One Nation. And the way she dodges that question is almost comedic. She won't confirm it. She won't deny it. She laughs it off like someone who's already read tomorrow's headlines but isn't telling you just yet. It's political theatre, but the cheeky kind that feels distinctly Australian, like a neighbour refusing to admit they're the one who borrowed your mower, but smiling just a bit too confidently for innocence. And through the entire interview, she circles back to the same core theme: expression, speech, voice. She's hammering this idea that Australians are losing the ability to say what they think without being shut down by government, bureaucrats, activists, or social outrage machines. That decisions are being made not for the health of the country, but to avoid emotional discomfort. That people like her, blunt, loud, unapologetically provocative, are being squeezed out of national discourse. And look, whether you think she's exaggerating or dead on, you can't deny she taps into a wider frustration. Plenty of Aussies feel like the country is slipping into a place where honesty is replaced with politeness, where humour has to be filtered, where every opinion comes with a risk assessment. Pauline calls that oppression. Others call it progress. But the tension between those two views is shaping our politics, our culture, and our national personality in real time. As the interview winds down, she sounds like someone gearing up for another fight, another round, another clash with the powers that be. She isn't backing off. She isn't softening. She isn't apologizing for the burka, the film, the suspension, or anything else. She's standing in front of a camera, storm raging behind the eyes, saying she'll keep swinging until the very end. And that's where the energy of this whole saga lands, right in that spot where frustration meets determination. The sense that she truly believes the country is drifting off course, and that she's one of the few left willing to grab the wheel. Whether you see her as a defender of free expression or someone stirring chaos, she isn't going quiet. She never has. And this episode just electrifies that reality. So here we are, watching another chapter unfold in the Pauline Hanson political rollercoaster, a mix of passion, controversy, rebellion, raw emotion, and that fierce, don't tell me to sit down conviction she's carried since the moment she entered public life. And with the way things are going, this isn't the end of the story. Not even close. The fights are getting louder. The stakes are getting higher. And Pauline? She's already warming up for the next round, because as she sees it, the country might be going down the bloody drain, but she's not letting it swirl away without one hell of a scrap. So hit that like button if you reckon Australia deserves better, and subscribe if you're all for keeping our leaders on a short leash. And before you duck off, grab the Not Far Right Just Right shirt, links in the description.